Hello artists, how are you today? It's Stephanie Aune once again with Mixed Media Collage number 48. Woof, we are getting down to the wire here. We are getting down to the very last ones. So, okay, the base paper, this is watercolor paper. Then there are a couple pieces of ephemera underneath of there. Looks like some music sheet, maybe some old text. Then I have a layer of napkin. Of course, with napkin, you separate out the triple ply. You only use the printed part of the napkin and glue it all down with Mod Podge, and it gives you that great transparency. They make excellent bases for work that you decide to put on top of it. They give you a great texture, and they're pretty cool. What I'm using here is my Arteza watercolor set. I really like the transparency of watercolors. I did not use a ton of water with it, so it did not get really saturated. I'm putting down my Mod Podge, and then here is one of my dual images. So you take one image and you run it through your printer, and then you kind of randomly, you do a bunch of backgrounds, and then you take other images and you run it over the top of it, and you can generally come up with something that is pretty darn cool. And this is one of my favorite little dual images that I have in my stash. It's a little girl talking on the phone, and she's standing on a little boy's back. It has a lot of color, a lot of whimsy. And as you saw, I put a layer of Mod Podge over the top to protect it. Wiped a lot of the Mod Podge off. Now I'm going around with Stabilo. Again, we want to have a nice smoky edge to this, but we don't want it to smear onto the image itself. So this particular paintbrush works really well. It's just a flat, and it allows it to kind of feather outwards without going all over the image. So I really like to have a controlled smudge, and this gives a wider line. Of course, you can always use your Arteza real brush pens, but again, I wanted something a little bit smudgier than what the brush pens give. Here I'm taking my Timber Brown StazOn. I am going around all of the edges, just like I have with the rest of my book. We use a permanent ink on the edges once again so that the ink doesn't come off on people's fingers. A non-permanent ink is not going to, be permanent, right? So here I'm just kind of thinking about what I wanted to do next with this, and I have these paint chips, and these paint chips happen to work out really well. You can get them like at Home Depot or Hobby Lobby, or they're paint sample chips. And I have this letter set that I got off of Amazon. I'll try to get the link put into it if I remember. I'm sorry I didn't do it the last time. And I'm just basically putting together some words. And then as I'm doing that, I was thinking about the yellow, really picking up the yellow in the girl. But I did the spare green piece right there next to it. And I decide that I like the green piece better. And so I do a purposeful wonkiness to the letters, cutting them out, and by also stamping them. I wanted something a little bit wonky with it. And it just says very simply, I get by with a little help from my friends. I'm cutting them down fairly thin because that's just what looked right for the image. I'm taking some of my archival, I think that's like potted soil, just a dark brown, and edging all of the sides. And here I'm taking some Fabri-Tac and putting down these words. I'm using Fabri-Tac because the lettering is a little bit heavier. The paint chip is a heavier paper, making sure that it is somewhat even going across, because you can either do it wonky or do it right, but try not to do in between. All right guys, have a great day. Bye bye.